answer is yes, as long as the denominator is x minus a. Linear, x plus a number or x minus a number. So how much is a in our case? 1, very good. 1 goes in the box. What is the degree of the top? Yes, very good. So what is the leading coefficient? What is the next in line? 0, very good. What is the next in line? The next in line is 4. The next in line is? Yes. The next in line is? Very good. And the last one is? Very good. Degree 5, degree 4, degree 3, degree 2, degree 1, degree 0. We bring down the leading coefficient at all times. We multiply 1 by 1 and we write above the line. We add 1 times 1, we write above the line. 5. 1 times 5, we write above the line. 5. 1 times 5, we write above the line. 5. 1 times 5, we write above the line, and we get the remainder, which is 0. Let me ask you this. If we divide degree 5 by degree 1, which degree do we get? 4. Very good. So then this is the leading coefficient. The leading coefficient belongs to which degree? Very good. X to the 4th plus x to the 3rd plus 5x squared plus 5x plus 5. Do you think that x minus 1 is or is not a factor of x to the 5th plus 4x cubed minus 5? Is it a factor or is not? Is it? I didn't know where my pages went. Is it a factor or not? Can I say that x minus 1 is or is not a factor of the top? Why? Excellent. X minus 1 is a factor. We wrote it last time. Let's write it one more time. X minus 1 is a factor of x to the 5th plus 4x cubed minus 5, since the remainder is 0. Very good. Thank you, Don. Yes, I will ask you. Yes. Say it again.
So if the remainder would have been like 2 or something?
Or any number than 0, yes, correct. Because it's like 9 divided by 3. 9 divided by 3, and the remainder is 0, that's why 3 is a factor of 9. 10 divided by 3 has remainder of 1, therefore 3 is not a factor of 10. Please.
I just want to make sure I understand.
Yes?
So for like the part where you're like dividing and everything,
Yes?
so you take the 1 that's like in that little box thing and times it by the other one, and then
I have to copy the leading coefficient. 1 times 1, I write here.
okay.
And I perform the operations. 1 times 1, I write here. Perform the operations. 1 times 5, I write here. Perform the operations. 1 times 5 and write here. Perform the operations. 1 times 5 and I write here.
Okay, now how are we getting?
It's always the same operation. Hold on just one second.
Can you just explain that one more time? I'm sorry, just a little bit like.
We copy the leading coefficient.
Okay.
1 times 1 and I write it here. I perform the operations I see. 1 times 1, I write it here. Perform the operations I see. 1 times 5 and I write it here. 0 plus 5. 1 times 5 and I write it here. Perform the operations. 1 times 5 and I write it here. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Say it again, Bree.
I asked you how did you get the x4 plus x2, and I was just lost.
You mean the answer?
Yeah.
When I divide degree 5 by degree 1, I get degree 4. Therefore, I have to start with x to the 4th, x to the 3rd, x squared, x, and no x. Exponential rules. X to the 5th divided by x, copy the base. 5 minus 1 is 4. That's why this is the coefficient of x to the 4th, x to the 3rd, x squared, x, and no x. Is that better?
So whatever the leading coefficient is of the highest degree, that's what you bring down to, not down, but like.
You mean this?
Yeah.
It's mandatory the leading coefficient has to be copied in synthetic division. It doesn't depend on the degree, it doesn't matter, it can be anything, I have to copy it. Always. That's the starting point. It's a very good question. That's the starting point of the synthetic division. I must copy the leading coefficient.
Because like I had a teacher when we did synthetic division.
Yes. Yes.
We draw an arrow sign underneath, like
That's fine.
looking down just to show.
That's fine. If that works, it's perfect. Awesome. It's a good idea. Yes, Tiffany? Bree, is this okay how we get the x to the 4th?
No, I'll just go back on and look at it. I still don't really get how we got it, but it's fine.
So when you divide x to the 5th by x, you must copy the base. And you have to subtract the exponents.
Okay, subtract this.
5 minus 1 is 4.
Right, okay.
That's why when we divide any polynomial degree 5 by any polynomial degree 1, the quotient has to have degree 4.
Okay.
So degree 4, degree 3, degree 2, degree 1, and no x, degree 0.
Okay, I get it.
That's where it's coming from.
Okay, I get it now.
Perfect. Other questions here before we choose another problem? Anything else? Okay, so let's choose something else. Which one? Number 1. Yeah, we just did a similar problem. We really want to do number 1 again. It's the same with the first problem we did today. I don't mind. I just would like to show you other problems.
Number 5C.
5C. Okay, let's take a look at 5C. Very good. So we looked at this problem some time ago when we talked about polynomial functions. Yeah, sure. So we have f of x equals negative 0.4x squared plus 2.1x and plus 7. We're asked to find the maximum height. What type of function is it? And how do I find the maximum height? F of x is the height, x is the horizontal distance.
Can we use the calculator together?
You can check if you want.
What do you plug 7 in?
Say it again.
Plug 7 into x.
What type of function is it? Excellent. How do I determine the maximum or the minimum of a quadratic function? Say it again.
It has to do with positive and negative.
Correct. Is the leading coefficient positive or negative?
Negative.
Does it have a max or a min? Excellent. How do I find the maximum? Perfect. Well done. How do I find the maximum? Excellent. Thank you very much. How do I find the coordinates of the vertex? Great job, Dani.
So the vertex is the maximum.
No, that's never the case. Right? Does it make sense? It's a maximum. Why will I set it equal to 0, right? How do we determine the vertex? Bless you. Yes, if the expression, the quadratic function is already completed the square. Yeah, it doesn't have the completed square. Excellent. Well, good point. Excellent. Indeed. Negative 2.1 divided by negative 0.8. Of course. Well done. Thank you. Thank you. So please give me this number. How much?
Negative 0.8.
2 times the leading coefficient,
Oh, okay.
negative 0.8.
Okay.
What is this number?
2.625.
2.625. Good. How do I determine the maximum now?
Then you plug it in.
Very good. Awesome. F of 2.625. Well done. Negative 0.4 times 2.625 plus 2.1 plus 2.1 times 2.625 and plus 7. I'm putting in the graphing calculator. Negative 0.4 x squared and plus 2.1x and plus 7. And I'm plugging in 2.625. I got 9.76. 9.76. And everything is in feet. Feet. Good. So what is the maximum height? 9.76. Very good. How far will that occur? Exactly. So if I want to graph, I will have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and you said 2. So this is how I would graph the vertex. How far does the ball travel horizontally before hitting the ground? How do I determine that? And also, can anyone give us the y-intercept for this function? 0, 7. Very good. 0, 7. This is 8. So this is 7. Perfect. So this is 7. And this is the vertex, which is 2.625, 9.76.
Is it still A or you know B now?
Say it again.
Are you still on A or you know B now?
We finished with A. We are on B. How far does the ball travel horizontally? This problem was done in class together. So I strongly recommend, if you want to be prepared for this test, redo the problems we did in class. Please. Please. For me. How do I determine the horizontal distance? Remember, I throw the ball up in the air, it hits the ground. How do I determine how far from me it hits the ground?
Is it negative b plus or minus is it negative?
You are on the right track, but you are really saying y equals 0. Yes, I would have to agree. So y equals 0, I'm looking for the x-intercept. Very good. You're on the right track. 0.4, negative 0.4 x squared plus 2.1x plus 7 equals 0. Of course. I will not factor this. It's not factorable. My only chance is the Quadratic Formula, but not before I multiply both sides by, yes, because I want to make my life easier. 0.4x squared minus 2.1x minus 7 equals 0. Yes, Lani is correct. She told us to use the Quadratic Formula, which is perfect. Negative b, 2.1 plus or minus 2.1 squared minus 4 times 0.4, but times negative 7, I'll rather change this into 7. Divided by 2 times a, which is 0.8. Remember to put parentheses around the top. Remember to put parentheses around the denominator. So let's do that. So parentheses around the numerator. 2.1 plus the square root. I would put parentheses. Some calculators don't need it, but I will always put it. 2.1 squared plus 4 times 7 is 28. I'm going to write 28 times 0.4. Close the parenthesis, go outside of the square root. close the parenthesis, and then divide by 0.8. And then I'll do the same. Of course, I already know that the other one will be a negative solution, but let's determine both. It will be behind me, right, where I throw the ball. Okay? So this is 7.56. X equals 7.56 feet, and x equals negative 2.31 feet. So we are asked also in part C to graph this. 2, 4, 6, 8, so this is 7.56 right here. And this one is negative 2. Of course, I don't really care for it, but I'm just going to do this. Nobody cares about that negative distance. So this is 7.56. So this is the graph of the function. We had plenty of information. We were able to graph it. Good
Can
pick.
you go down a little bit
You mean,
to the not part of the
any questions, please?
I'm just a little confused about the graph.
Which one?
About the graph.
So I had 0.7, I had the vertex, and I plotted at 7.56, 2, 4, 6, 8. This is 7.56. This is negative 2.31.
7.56 from the ball from C, right? I mean,
Yes,
B.
correct.
Okay.
From B. Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes. Anything else?
Can I see how you entered it on your calculator? Because I have something.
Yes, of course. Oh, you mean this?
Yeah.
Yes. The key is parentheses. I don't trust the calculator myself. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I just have to be very careful with the parentheses. Yes.
And you know that it's 7.56, not negative 2.31, because it's not negative one, right?
Right, it's right here. So the I should show this way. So the negative 2.31 is here, but I throw the ball up in the air and it hits the ground 7.56 feet away from me.
Okay.
But when I solve the quadratic equation, I always get two solutions. But one of them is behind me. So remember parentheses around the numerator. I did not put parentheses around the denominator because it's just one term. But I always put parentheses under the square root. I multiplied 4 times 7, I got 28. And then times point.
So you start out using parentheses, and then even when you do the square root, you also.
Yes, that's me. Old fashioned. Your calculator may be way more sophisticated than I expected it to be. So it may not require parentheses under the square root. But every time there is an operation on the square root or cube root or any root, I always put in parentheses just to make sure that the calculator is doing what I want the calculator to be doing. But as I said, some of your calculators, you have to look up the manual and stuff. I can't recommend not use parentheses. But some of these calculators, recent ones, do not require parentheses around the square root, under the square root.
part C.
I'm sorry?
Part C.
I already did part C.
Oh,
This
that
is the
was
graph.
the graph. Oh, I put it in the wrong place.
That's okay.
Yeah. I don't
Wait,
know
so I'm
the first one.
confused. So the B is just the calculation, the graph is the C,
Yeah, graph the function.
right? And then this part right here,
That's part
the
C.
B,
That's
all part B.
graph the function.
No, the calculation is part B, right? This whole thing right here you just did is
The
part B.
horizontal distance. This is part B.
Oh, that's what I'm asking.
And this is part C, the graph.
Okay.
Good, which one? I didn't hear, I'm sorry.
So,
Number 6. Okay, which one? Both of them, very good. So the first one, we have a function f of x equals the square root of x minus 1 divided by x minus 3. Okay. So I see two potential. Yes, I'm sorry.
I had a quick question about
Yes. Yes, of course.
part B and 5.
Yes.
So you know how you multiply it by -1 and then you switch the sides?
But I multiply everything by -1, not
Right.
just the. Yeah.
So once you switch the sign and you put it in the equation, you put the original.
No. So very good question. Once I multiply both sides by -1, this doesn't mean anything anymore.
Okay, so you.
I'm not solving this anymore, I'm solving this.
Okay.
Solving this or this is the same thing, but this is easier to put in the graphing calculator in the quadratic formula than this.
Oh,
I think that's my
yeah, because when you do the equations like negative b plus or minus, so you change it back to positive because of our
I changed it because there is a negative in the formula and because 7 was negative. And instead of putting a lot of parentheses, nested parentheses, I'd rather say, well, if this is negative, let me change this into positive. Because otherwise I will have to put parentheses around -7. And if you forget to put parentheses around -7, then you will write 2.1 squared minus 4 times 0.4 and minus 7 instead of times -7. So I want to avoid that possibility. But you do whatever you're comfortable with. You always remember, I'm showing you a way, but you can say, this one is better for me, use it. I'm fine.
So you're saying that we can do it the regular way as long as we remember to multiply stuff?
Correct.
Right, okay.
Absolutely. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. As long as you're doing the right thing, I'm fine. Very good question. Is this okay?
Yes.
Everyone? Good. So this problem has two potential situations. One, that x minus 3 cannot be 0. And the other one, in order to take the square root, we have to enforce that the quantity under the square root is greater than or equal to 0. If it isn't, then we cannot take the square root from it. So the first one says x cannot be 3, and the second one says x must be greater than or equal to 1. If we graph all this to see what's happening here, x not equal 3, a whole at 3, greater than or equal to 1 will be this. So between 1 and infinity, but except 3. So the domain of this function is 1 to 3, union 3 to infinity. Now, the second one, any questions on this? Now, the second one is g of x equals 27 over x squared minus 2x minus 63. We've done something like this a long time ago when we started in chapter 1 with rational equations. So what do I have to do here in order to find the domain of this function? And the answer is I have to what can you do to this?
Okay.
Exactly. Awesome. Thank you. So x minus 9 and x plus 7. And you know that x cannot be excellent. So then you know the domain. Negative infinity to -7. Union -7 to 9. Union 9 to infinity. In short, anything but 9 and -7. Any questions?
So basically, I have a question.
Please.
So basically, for the first one, the first fx, you basically made it equal to 0 when you found the domain.
No. In the first one,
Yeah.
I cannot make it 0. X minus 3 cannot be 0. That's from chapter 1. X minus 3 cannot be 0. I wrote x cannot be 3. But I do have another potential problem. The square root cannot exist if this quantity is not positive or 0. So I stated the second inequality, the second condition, which in this case it's an inequality. I solved this one and I said, okay, between 1 and infinity, but I cannot have 3. Does it make sense? Is that clear? Any questions on number 1, on part A? Any questions on part B? Is number B okay? Okay. Next question, please. Number 12. Let's look at number 12. Where are you, number 12? Yes. Number 12. We've done at some point in time we did number 12 in class. So let's take a look. We're asked to find F inverse of G of 9. Where do we start? What do we have to find first? Excellent. So tell me that, look at the table and find G of 9. Excellent. So this is 3. So then I have to find F inverse of 3. Not F of 3, but F inverse of 3. So F inverse of 3.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So F inverse of 3, -4. Do we all agree with -4? Perfect. Next question.
That's it.
Yep.
Right, that's why when I saw it.
Yep. Just to help you get things done and cover something that you may have missed. Which one? You said 8. Yes. So we have h of x, the 7th root of x to the 6 minus 3, and I want an inner and an outer. Can anyone give us an inner and an outer? Which one? Which one is the inner? Very good, awesome. What is the outer? 7 is not a function. I cannot apply 7 to something.
Is it 0, 1,
0, 1, and 2 are not functions. Which function I apply to this number? Once I'm done with this and yes?
It's the 7 on the outside.
7th root of x, indeed. Thank you. Of course, it has to be a function. Very well done, yes.
Wait, that's it.
The inner and the outer. We are asked to decompose the function into an inner function and an outer function. That's it.
So you write that on the test, and that's what you'll get 100%.
Yes. But that's what you were asked. That's what I'm saying. If you redo the problems we do in class diligently after each class, this class next semester I'm going to invite you to teach it. I'm going to sit down and wait and relax. We show everything in class that you need for this class, but you have to redo the problems done in class several times, and then you will not forget.